Good morning and welcome to the crypto day morning for today's date of the 16th of February 2019. All bets, trades of the like within each his own risk and reward. As ApeCoin, hey, it's doing its thing, as is that of Bitcoin. As it continues to correct amongst the 18 average in here, or a bit of a sideways move. It was grinding its way lower, but over the last couple days, it is establishing a resistance level rather than in a downtrend, and a couple higher low days from the previous one. So you can start to draw a V-shaped formation when connecting each day's lows together, looking at the single hour term time frame. It's been pretty choppy back and forth over the last little while, and a very volatile hour that occurred yesterday morning. And since that point where it went up, went down, consolidated well within the 18, and then getting above it, it has supported well with a very volatile hour in the most previous one. And it's regaining it pretty good, breaking it from the 18 average of highs. So over the last several periods, or since about 8, 9 p.m. yesterday, this thing is looking pretty good for a possible break higher. Which I'll be looking for. Well, I mean, there's a good chance it's going to break 37. So therefore, make a move on route to 4100 if it's able to break out above it. If it pierces above this level, maybe if it resists this, I think it would pierce above it, sort of like it did on January the 19th. Maybe find some resistance at 3750 within this ballpark area. Getting above there again, 4100, big level. Let's move on next to Theta. There's a bunch of lines on here. These two represent Fibonacci levels at 1870 and the 24 point where it's at now. For me, 2695 and 2333 represent that of sell and buy orders. As the market has had a great run, consistently making it up, now down to the 18 average of highs on the daily chart, shortening this out. Having a long correctionary phase in here in the middle part of this, breaking up, unable to make new highs. Taking a decent amount of time to correct, but ultimately we can see, or most likely ultimately, that this move at least isn't happening now. Thus is breaking down from such 18 average flattening, starting to go down as continued momentum below the 18 has occurred. So therefore I'm looking for this thing to come down and test these lows at maybe around 2300 and around here 2280 as its next point, and more long term 1870. When you look at this on the daily, it's just real. It's a move where it would have came from. Markets go up, markets go down. Therefore, if this is a key top, it's almost a guarantee that the next bottom will be at least at this level, if not even lower. As regardless of how much this goes up, it's going to have to correct accordingly. And there's going to be situations where this will go below the 18 of lows. And whether it's happening now or happening later, I don't know. But that's why I just have my orders ready to go. And I got several of them, not only in this area, but this previous low and even below 1,000 as well. And then sell orders, many of them higher as well. Above, of course, and below the 26.95 and the 23. And I want to talk about GNT before finishing this off with Litecoin. I'm going to talk about this very quickly. On the daily chart, just your standard going down since January of 2018. In this case, since April. This was different. I guess, yeah, same thing here. But regardless of the fact it's been going down and sideways move, unable to get out, sideways move. But we see these last three of these previous days, including today's session, where it attempted to get out above the 18 average and at least managed to come back to the band. Let's take a look at today's session a little more clearly via that of the single hour time frame. And there you have it. It's really intriguing, to say the least. This has happened twice. Maybe I'm trading this incorrectly. I haven't traded this coin in quite some time, as I'm trading this against Ethereum on high volatility or high percentage moves. So none of this triggered anything. But the move in itself is from 1620 up to like 1800. So That's a differential of barely over 10%. And then to grind the way that it did after this, and then do it again, and now it's back doing this, back in this point in here. Will it continue to grind afterwards like this? Something seems up, or something seems very fishy about this. Do these people know something that why they're buying it? A question mark, I don't know. But interesting volatility in today's session. Let's take a look at Litecoin to finish it off first against the dollar. And it's currently in at 43 and a half. And one of the things I find very interesting just when looking back, a little bit of similarities and differentials within Bitcoin. Price action is very near its support level from the summer of last year. That was Bitcoin 6,000. And then in differentials, as this was been in a downtrend, this was 6,000 Bitcoin, as was this 6,000 Bitcoin, as was this 6,000 Bitcoin in here. Meaning every time Bitcoin was making matching lows, Litecoin was making lower lows, showing a lot more higher volatility. As this market has played out, this is the key Fibonacci from, it's looking like the breakout lows and this high. At least that's what I would presume why I would have put it in there. Regardless of the fact, market did come down to back to this previous level of resistance from January, or the first week of such. And also within the 18 average of the highs, and just a great day, and then follow through, getting the price up to the 47 mark. It looks as if it's got the potential for another leg higher, continue what we would be expecting in a bull market, higher highs. As it's had its correctionary move, the early stages showing it's lifting off from the 43 from this 43 level. Got to get above 48 for it to really show that it's got the potential, probably to get to at least 54 to 55 minimum, if it's able to do such. And against Bitcoin, in at the 0.012 mark, also showing the leaving of the 18 average, not coming back down to this previous level of support. And after this low price in here, this is a decent amount of time. I'm going to quickly show over my last few trades that I have made within this market. I currently have a sell order at the $12.99 handle and a buy order at the $10.75. My last transaction on February the 11th was a buy at $11.75. Before that, there was all the sells, selling at 13, 12, 11, 9.85 handle, 9.15, and then before that, just a bunch of buying and selling, but it was at lower prices beforehand, and that's all the trades I've made Bitcoin against Litecoin against each other than some super long-term trading or transferring. Super long term, I only really made two trades. One, I bought down in here, and then I sold up here. That's it. And I also bought real things. Just recently I ended up buying some groceries for the future, and so A&W fast food. I got food from that, paid via that of Litecoin and Bitcoin, because I kind of found a way to do it 50-50, spend half my funds, whatever. It's at the point where it's starting to go up a little bit higher, and over the last little while with Litecoin, we have seen just tremendous potential that this bear marketish run on cryptos may be looking to come to a near either way. I like to see in a bear market to at least have some better bear market rallies than we've been having over the last little while. In viewing as such on the 4-hour, what I find very interesting is this down move in here from the February 13th low. As what occurred after this amazing run higher was it originally corrected in here, tried to lift off, it barely did break a new high. And then it came back down aggressively to the band, and then it just had a couple of pause periods, and then decently retesting this low, and then establishing resistance very strong, and then it broke through, established support. So therefore, this little area in here, I'm just going to draw it in, but you pretty much know exactly what I'm talking about. This little area here. This is where it was resisting where it came from, establishing a new level of support. It really only had tested it on one occasion, and that was in here. That was the 3 a.m. hour. So this was the spot where I was looking, oh my goodness, Litecoin, well, short term is it's going to go down to the 108 handle or whatever, maybe even go down to 105, but it didn't happen. And then this little period in here was the interesting one, the 7 a.m. one, where it shot up really high, even came down pretty good based on its previous couple 4-hour periods, and then sideways movement. And we can see here that the trend of down has pretty much switched during these two periods in here, the 15 and the 1900 timestamp. Let's take a look at this more clearly on the single hour. And to me, this is where it gets really, really interesting or really cool. Because from this down move, there was a water slide movement down. And this area of correction, albeit it never broke above for a while, worked out to be well because it was able to hold and stay above this previous low. It retested it, piercing above. And then on this one, when it got above the 18 average of highs, it did what it needed to do, and that's hold higher low 18 average. That's always like the spot I needed to see it hold, and it did so, piercing above it. And then of course, there we go. Let's revert this trend over, and then this wild period, establishing resistance along the way, having the failed breakdown really before it happened. And then this little move in here as it gets above the 18. Nice little congestion consolidation, which is what I'm seeing right now, which tells me that we come up to this area where it spent very little time at. And what I want to do is I want to draw that's the little area, and I want to shorten it out even more so. I want to take a look at this in here. And I haven't seen anything shorter than this as of today. And I want to see how much time it really spent in that area. And when I want to do it more properly, I want to just do it. Yeah, so it's going to be easier to see when I look at this on I'm going to take a look at this on the 5. But before we do that, I don't want to. Before we do that, I like the potential, the odds that this thing can get going. But so far, short-term established support in around this lower area here. Resistance is established big time because it did so there. That if I see momentum up in like the 121 and change handle, then I'm going to be liking the probability odds of it breaking out. And even more so, of course, if it gets above this high around 122, 123. Looking at this now on the very short term, let's go even 15-minute chart. What I'm seeing is this move is even very quick, so I'm going to, after this, just put it to the 1 minute, just looking at the 9:15 from yesterday. But before then, we have had this major support established at 1198 handle. Resistance established in a range between here, but then it got further upgraded to about 121.6. And I like how it's holding this on the correctionary move, especially after this hour here, or rather 15-minute period, 7:45 a.m., how it managed to come right back down to the lower end of support and then lift off higher and just build what's a good movement amongst this, and just like 4 periods later. So definitely a progressive, nice looking move. So let's take a look at how this looked before in the 1 minute time frame. And over that whole time, it spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes in this area here, which has spent the last little bit. So that's what I like to see in the markets. When you have a wild move like this that gets immediately rejected, that it's able to, in good amount of time, come back to it and then spend a good period of time at where it couldn't before. So therefore, thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great day, great weekend. Bye-bye.